Episode of Accused opens up, there's such an interesting parallel between your character TJ and how he brings up that wrestling match is more than just that. It's an audition for his future, which feels like a very similar mindset that you have to bring into your work as an actor. Did that mentality immediately connect you with him? How did you prepare for this audition? Because it's so different from other things that you've done.
Yeah, funny enough, I got the audition for the part when I was at my friend's wedding in the UK. So I had no time. It was a Zoom audition. I had no time, but I knew it was a wrestler. I knew I was going to be playing twins. And I read the scripts and I looked over the sides as quickly as I could to get familiar with the stuff. And then I was already auditioning. So it was not a lot of prep time like I would have usually liked, but I'm thankful for it because in a way it forced me to pull on my actual life. And I wrestled in high school and
Mm.
I was an athlete growing up, and I know what the athletic struggle is like, and I know how it parallels in an acting world. And then the second part of your question, yeah, in a way, I think every job you do is an audition for the next job, in a form or fashion, because it shows you what could lead to the next thing and lead to the next thing and lead to the next thing. And it also, I think it shows people that you're capable.
Mhm.
Um, so, in a way, I think TJ, all he wanted to do was show that he was capable and show that he could be on that Duke team. And I guess the parallel of that is through the show, like I want to show that I am capable and I could be on a big budget movie and carry a movie or carry something. So yeah, you're right.
I think this project's going to open a lot of doors for you. And like you were saying too, I think that lack of time also just makes you instinctively trust all decisions that you're going to make. And that leads to you landing this role. And there's also a big twist that happens halfway through the episode regarding your character. And what's so interesting is that when you do a rewatch, you're able to pick up on those subtle hints that you and the creative team incorporated leading up to that reveal. How were you all able to find that balance of how much or how little to give audiences, because it is really shocking when it is revealed, but it's also really fun to go back and find all those context clues.
Yeah, it was really cool because I think what was how it was written in the script. Mike wrote an amazing script, and how it was written was TJ's the one in the courtroom. He's the one in the courtroom in the beginning with the glasses, and he looks distraught, and that's it's TJ. So I also think what makes sense in my head is you have Nico and you have the evolved version of him, which is him in the courtroom and him talking to his mom and all of that, because he lost his brother.
Mhm.
And I think when that happens, you're either forced to grow or you stay the same, and or you backtrack. And I think Nico grew a lot into a you know into a man. And I think we see the man in TJ, and I think that that was a cool thing to play with and mix up, because it felt weird when watching it. And I did a watch party at my house with some friends and stuff that didn't know anything, and they were like, "What?" when they saw that it was twins and everything, which is exactly what we tried to do. So um it was constantly a discussion when we were hiding the fact that it was Nico. Tasma was very earnest about playing it a specific way, and not giving into a complete version of TJ, or not giving into a complete version of
Mm.
Nico, into this sort of evolved version of Nico where you could see either brother. So yeah.
I had the same reaction watching the episode. That's also a good segue to this next question. But I imagine as an actor, you dream of roles and projects like this where there's so much to explore. You do such a fantastic job bringing those distinctions between these two characters from their mannerisms, that physicality, and even the way that they speak. What were the kind of the characteristics of each that you wanted to hone in on, and how different was it to get into TJ's mindset because he so badly wants to seize those opportunities that Nico can't?
Yeah, I have two brothers, so and I'm the oldest, so I have a very easy connection when it comes to brothers. Um, the part I think you look at them physically, you look at them emotionally, and you look at how they speak. Um, TJ has a clear want in his head. He wants to get to Duke. He wants to support his family, and he wants to be there for his brother. I think Nico is more of a dreamer. He wants to do a million different things that maybe he can't do. And I think playing with the wonderment versus the harsh reality and
Mm,
flooding and going through every scene with those two things in mind, that helped me move forward in the process of differentiating the two. I think Nico, I wanted him to have a more boyish feel to him. I
yeah,
think he became the younger twin, the younger brother, after his accident. And when talking to the brain specialist, they were telling us that when someone lives with this for over half their life, obviously they've grown. So they have the ability to communicate, they have the ability to learn, they have the ability to um, move forward, but they had to go through all of this stuff in order to get to that place. So with Nico, the things that he struggled with were once he was on one emotion and once he was on something, it's hard to get him off track. Like that moment in the courtroom when he screams at him at Tyson, he's on that track and it's hard to get him off it. And then also they forget a lot of things. So that was one of my favorite scenes where Nico said to Sherry said to his mom, I don't want to for I
yeah.
forget all the time. I don't want to forget him too. And I think that you can. I mean, the physicality is one thing. I think that's you fall from four stories. You're good. He's messed up physically. Um, so it was differentiating that as well, getting him baggier clothes so we can hide that the wrestler in me. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think having physicality be different was important. I think the voice and having him appear more boyish was
Yeah.
important. But I wanted them to also feel grounded and real, and I didn't want to like push it so hard to the point where it's like you're doing too much. They're still kids and they're still real life 18-year-olds. You know what I mean? So I think that was, in a way, the struggle is making them as real as possible and almost not too different. Um,
You accomplished that on the rewatch. Like you can hear the inflection and Nico's voice, and it does feel very boyish to it. And you outside of wrestling, you also have a tennis background, and acting feels very much like a tennis match where it is that back and forth. And I think one of the reasons why this show has been so successful is how everybody in the cast is elevating each other's performances. When you're working with these heavyweights, how do their creative choices influence your own? How have you been able to push each other creatively? And how much of kind of your sports background has bled into your craft of acting?
yeah, I've gotten the chance to work with a lot of amazing seasoned actors, like Michael and like Sherry and like Tim Blake Nelson and working with Michael was great. We both came from an athletic background, so we understood ourselves in that
Mm,
way. Um, which for me, I always love working with another athlete because we get it. We get the waking up at 5 a.m., lifting and playing, and we get that. And also Michael was very gracious with his time. He was. I know a lot of A-list actors that would not sit down and tell us a bunch of stories and give us advice and everything. And um, I I hold that time that we spent together very near and dear to my heart because I learned a lot. Now, Michael also told me to try a bunch of different things. No, don't be married to one idea, and I think that that's important too. I watched Garrett Dillahunt do a million different takes from this movie I did, Gray Matter, and he just tried a million different things, and it was all great, and it all worked. And to be in a place of play while also being true and keeping the continuity and staying grounded, like that's everything. So Michael gave me that freedom and gave me that push to try and to go. Um, Sherry did the same thing. I think that also if you can make a family and make a relationship actually feel believable on screen, um, like that's the first step. So one of the first things me and Sherry did was hug, and she kissed me on the head and I kissed her on the cheek, and we tried to make it feel like a family, because
Mm,
if it doesn't, if we don't have that comfortability, an audience can feel that and see that. Um, and I didn't even think about it, you know. So that was something a seasoned actor like her could do as well. Um, but yeah, I'm very thankful. I think that's been a blessing in my career so far, is getting to learn from all these amazing people. Um, but yeah, also, like, so then the second part of your question, sports, tennis in particular, mirrors my life and mirrors how I approach acting. I think for me, if I'm not prepared for a match or if I'm not prepared for my scenes, I'm not ready. If I worry about stuff that I can't control, I'm not going to do a good job. So the beautiful thing about tennis is I learned I can only control the controllables. I can only
mm,
control the things that I can directly control. And if I can't, then I'm not going to bother myself with worrying about that. Um, and that's helped me in acting a lot because I can't control what another actor does. I can only react to that.
yeah.
So it has given me that freedom to almost remove myself from the equation, you know, and just be present. Um, but yeah, tennis has been it's a whole other side of my life that is an immense love, and passion. So it definitely affects my acting.
It's also incredible that you all were able to build that kind of familial bond so quickly when you're just working on one episode. On the flip side of that, this is a role where one of your scene partners is yourself. I would love
Yeah.
to hear kind of the behind the scenes process of that filmmaking magic to make that happen, and how you as an actor mentally prepare for when both your characters are in the scene together. What did you learn about yourself and your craft playing these dual roles?
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, I got the last version of the script the second I got to Toronto, and Taz, our director, had a week and a half of prep time. So we really didn't have a lot of time. Usually, when it's an entire show or an entire movie
Yeah.
that's based on twins, they have the time and the bandwidth to be like, okay, let's plan a scene for twins, da 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 da. We didn't really have that. I also didn't, I've never done this before. So it was super new to me and fresh. We had 2 days, two twin days, and I got to work with an actor that looked like me and was playing the opposite part. His name is Rob. He's great, and we had a setup, and we had me shoot and as TJ, and then me shoot as Nico, and so I'd be switching back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and there was a special effects guy there as well, who on the monitor you could see the side by side, so we could see how it would line up in post.
Mm,
It was really cool because it was like I was looking at myself do it with myself. It was crazy. Um, so the first day, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna memorize my lines. So I just memorized the whole thing top to bottom like a monologue. Wrong thing to do. I was like I was like saying my first line and then what was the second line? Oh, so I was having to skip a line. I did the second day. The second day, I memorized each character. I took my own time for each character,
Mm,
which it was a learning curve. But yes, that's the way to do it. And it was a crazy process, and eventually got the first day. We were racing the sun, and we ended up getting out and doing it all good. But the second day, I mean, it got quick because we knew how it rolls, you know. So um, yeah, it was a crazy experience because working with another actor who's copying the same choices that I made prior, um, and then having to, yeah, it was insane. It was insane. It was a beautiful experience, and I think it came together really, really nicely.
yeah, that's also so interesting to hear kind of the lines and going back and forth because like for audience members, it just seems so seamless and kind of how you had
Yeah.
to adjust to that process. Without giving any spoilers, because we don't want to spoil how the episode ends, but TJ's coach is so much a mentor to him. Who are the people in your own life who've shaped the storyteller that you are today?
Wow. I have a tennis coach that has coached me since I was 7 years old, and he's a very big part of my life. His name is John Nieder, and my parents are a huge part of my life as well. And my dad, we would go to the movies every Saturday, for as long as I could remember. So he definitely shaped the storyteller I am in this world. And my mom as well. Like, yeah, I mean, just leading with love and excellence and hard work. I think that's what those three people instill in me. And then I have an acting coach who's a mentor to me. His name's John Ailes, and he has helped me become the actor that I am today. Without him, I would not be remotely near anything anything close to what I'm able to do now. He's been a huge part of my career, and he's a phenomenal actor himself. So yeah, I mean, these people. I think it's so important to have someone in your life that you can just look up to and learn from and ask questions and take advice from. And father figures and mother figures and all those things are important. And I don't think I would be the same person without them. I think
Yeah.
it's really, really important. And they've helped me in a million different ways. So yeah, and I think they pushed me um, close to the sun, but not flying with wax wings.
Mm. Good throwback to the episode. I
Yeah.
like how you slipped that in there. And I told you earlier, but I think this has been such a breakout year for you. And I love the diversity of the projects that you've worked on. You have indies like Bang Bang to these bigger studio projects like Vampire Academy and Accused. How do each of them kind of continue to fuel your artistic fire?
I was talking about this the other day. Every project I've got to do has given me a beautiful, special thing. Whether it was Vampire Academy, where I had 8 months of stunt training, pretty much. The stunt team out there they were all my best friends, and on the weekends they would teach me how to fall. They would teach me how to throw punches that would sell. We would work on combinations. We would create our own fights. It was amazing. And then with Bang Bang, the opportunity to learn from Tim and Kevin Corgan. It's just that was everything. I grew so much through that experience, and being able to completely like change myself and alter who I am in order for this part, and then get to box was awesome. And also like learning how Vince makes movies is great because it definitely affects how I want to make a movie in the future. And then being able to wrestle and play twins, like beautiful niche things that I get to jump into. Um, and they've been amazing. I mean, Vampire Academy shot in Spain, so I lived in Spain for 8 months, and then I lived in Kentucky, in Cincinnati for a month with for Bang Bang, and then Toronto. Like it's taking me to all these beautiful places, and I'm so immensely blessed and thankful for that. Um, because of the culture that I get to see, because of the people that I get to meet, and the little nuggets I got to take along with me.
Credit to you as well, because I think you bring such an empathetic quality and strength and vulnerability in all of your performances, and all the projects that you've worked on are such good quality. I got one final question for you. Outside of Accused, what's next for you? And you've done so much already. What are the kind of types of roles you're looking to play in the future?
I That's a great question. I got a few more things coming out this year. This movie I did called "Please Don't Feed the Children" with Destry Spielberg. It was her first. It was just her directorial debut. A Netflix show called Ransom Canyon, which is really exciting. But I would love to sink my teeth into vulnerable, real people. Maybe someone you don't know if he's bad or good. Maybe someone you want to make a decision if he's good or if he's bad, but you don't know. I think the ambiguity, the gray area of it all is very interesting. I think I'm drawn to someone far from myself and someone close to me.
Mhm.
I At the end of the day, like it's real things, and I write and I want to make my own things at a point in time as well. So right now, that's been a big focus of mine is writing and creating stuff for myself because a lot of times recently, like I just haven't seen something created for me. So um, why not just create it myself?